Well, hello everyone. 160 billion lives. That is the price of a Federation mistake. In the season finale of Starfleet Academy, the Rubincon wasn't just a line crossed; it was a trial that proved our heroes might be fighting for the wrong side. The psychological stakes: Braka didn't just build a weapon; he built a mirror. He's forcing us to ask: is the Federation a beacon of hope, or a cold machine that chooses who lives and who starves based on a resource chart? Today, we're discussing the psychological collapse of the Athena's crew. The character tease, we're breaking down Caleb Mears' impossible choice, the doctor's digital sacrifice, and the haunting truth behind Caleb Mears' mother's past. Was the suicide run a move of bravery or total desperation? The galaxy just changed forever. Let's get into the Starfleet Academy finale. You're watching us live, so let's dive in. Oh yeah, today's title, which was kind of hard. Like I wanted to say Rubicon so much, and Rubincon, it just doesn't roll off the tongue.
It does not. It does not at all. So, my goodness, quite a bit going on in this finale. Rubincon. So basically, what Rubincon is the point of no return. Lots of difficult decisions being made in this episode, as well as the Rubin particle that was ultimately what was supposed to kind of diffuse, or maybe diffuse is the wrong word, the omega particle, to bring down the uh, what is it? The potential of everything blowing up, basically. So
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so just to get straight into it, I want to ask you this question before the very end, before Caleb comes along. Where did you stand? Was the Federation guilty or was the Federation innocent? I want to know. I want to know your thoughts.
um before before Caleb comes along, ah, I struggle. I'm gonna say I felt that the Federation was guilty before I had all of the information, and so it was looking real bad. It was like, dang, you know, y'all are foes now. It's like, okay, listening to news say anything, I'm taking with a grain of salt, but at the same time, the picture was painted very very horribly in the Federation's light. So I was like, oh yeah, they kind of this is they get back.
Okay. Okay. And so, what did Caleb say that made you say, "Okay, Federation, you're the good guys"?
So it was Caleb's his journey, and he's not an impressionable person. One, life being his teacher initially, all the things that he's seen and experienced, that whole character development and growth, and for him to be able to just kind of tie all the pieces together and say, wait a minute, you know, finding family and friendship, and even with Nala, with in the beginning how things were, and we could basically cut her head off for what she did to me and my mom. I can see her heart. I can see her passion. I see it every day. There's no way that these people are faking this every day. They really are a beacon of hope and of light, and so more so than they are damaging. And so for him to be able to say that, the person that trusted absolutely no one and basically just had a unilateral view of everything, to say, hey, in not in so uncertain many uncertain terms, these are the good guys,
Mm,
and so they're faced with impossible decisions every day, and I know it because I've seen it, and they've
mm,
made me better. So I was like, okay, Caleb, and
mhm.
he looked good while he was saying it. So
Okay, okay, okay. Speaking of trust, at the start of the season, Caleb was told by his mother, "Don't trust them." By the finale, based on what you said, he is successfully managing antimatter flow rates to save the ship. What was the psychological turning point that made him stop fighting the uniform and start fighting for his team?
ooh, okay. So I think part of it, first and foremost, we got um Captain Ake and his mother, who have been taken off the ship by news. Braka, right? So we have that going on. I just got my mom back, but she's been taken away. In the midst of all of that, there's the potential of trying to just save the two of them or saving trillions. And I was glad that Genesis kind of spoke to that. So rather than him just continue and really pretty much go on a suicide mission, he listened to reason. And so for me, that was a very pivotal moment as opposed to just being this one man band and continuing to go down that path, thinking about the lives that he could save and, his friends, his family.
I really loved that moment when, God dog it, I forget her name. But she basically said, like, she asked, what's it, Tignataro? I forget.
Reno.
There we go. She asked him a question, and she was like, oh shoot, I forgot the question. But basically, he decided he wanted to save his friends, and she was just like, that's it right there. Like at the beginning of the season, or the beginning of the school year, I asked you this question. Yes, who are you? And you couldn't answer it, but guess what? I have the answer now.
Yes.
This is who
and can I say that I love seeing some Laura Thok on screen. I do. I'm not gonna lie. And I wanted more of her, but I'm not gonna lie. I did not I was not dissatisfied seeing as much of Reno as I did in this episode. It was honestly kind of refreshing. Like it was that seriousness, like, okay, do this or die, but also that comic relief sprinkled in there, but not to the point that it was over the top and annoying.
Yeah. Hey, Dr. Pepper Lover, thank you for joining us. Thank you so very much. You really love your Dr. Pepper, I tell you that.
Dr. Pepper, that's my primary care. So great choice of name.
Okay. All right.
Go for my checkup frequently with Dr. Pepper.
Do you feel his growth stems from a sense of duty or simply a fear of losing the only home he's ever known?
His growth. Ooh.
Why we gotta be this way?
Okay. Read the question one more time because I got lost in my foolishness. I don't know. This is so awesome. So I would apologize, but I'm not sorry.
Does his growth stem from a sense of duty or simply a fear of losing the only home he's ever known?
I'm gonna go Finch straddler on this one and say a little bit of both. A little bit of both, because now Starfleet is something he can be proud of. And so in that there is a sense of duty. And so secondly, losing the only family he's ever known, that's something that is also at the forefront. So I think it's a little bit of both. I'm gonna go with a little bit of both.
I arrived at the same conclusion that you did, but here's why. Those were his friends, and because those were his friends, that's his family, right? Therefore, that's his home. And so, no, he's gonna save his. He's gonna do whatever he can to save his friends, and in doing so, that was a sense of duty. And I do recall there was one moment when a decision was made by Chancellor Ake, and he was just like, so whatever happened to, saving everyone? That was him leaning on his sense of duty at that particular point in time. But the way he said it, it was kind of like, you're not trying to save my mom. And so I ain't dealing with you right now. But when he had to make a decision, when he was in charge of making a decision, he wanted to save his friends.
And at the end, Reno did a great job of pulling that out of him, because he was like, I just did what anybody else would do. And she was like, no, I've been all across this galaxy, basically. And no, there are very few people who would have done what you did. So
she said, what did she say? I've lived in 2 centuries. And no.
People don't be caring like that, dog. They don't. They let the ship go down and gone.
In the series premiere, Ake sent Anisha Mir to a rehab camp and made Caleb a ward of the state because it was the law. Now she is haunted by the choices that she's made in her past. Has Ake actually changed, or is she just reacting to the guilt of seeing the human cost of her past orders?
I think she's grown right along with her cadets because I think, first of all, whenever she was presented with the opportunity to take this position in the first place, she didn't really want it. And so, I think her intentions ultimately were good. And so I think she's grown and she's developed just as much as they have. And so um she's been plagued by that guilt every day. And so I think the remorse is genuine um as it pertains to Ake.
So I'm conflicted. So I could make,
Either argument.
I really could, because, and here's why. Right after she made the argument, she got out of Starfleet. It was as if she was saying, this ain't right, and I know it ain't right. Right? So that's it on one hand. On the other hand, um, she leads the academy from empathy. And she wants her cadets to lead from empathy as well. And to me, what she's communicating is, hey, look, these are the rule books. We need to follow these rule books, but every now and then we're going to come across something that is in that gray area. And what do? Do you follow the rules, or do you go with your gut? And what she's communicating to them is, no, you go with the gut. You take whatever comes, like whatever the consequences are, you got to take it. And that's what I see her doing with these kids.
And leadership is no easy feat.
Mm-hmm.
It is not. You're gonna disappoint somebody always.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Speaking of, she teaches the cadets that we learn more when things go wrong than when they go right. How does her personal failure with Caleb's family inform the way she mentors the new class of cadets, in your opinion?
And so it was Reno who said that quote in this episode. You learn more when things go wrong than when things go right. And I was like, dang, okay. Again, her seriousness and lightheartedness, love that. Repeat the question again.
Sure. She was just a question. How does her personal failure with Caleb's family inform the way she mentors the new class of cadets?
She was in a very simple way humbled because literally you affected the trajectory of these people's lives. You have a child ripped away from his mother. You were a mother, you lost your child, and so that's plaguing you. And so there's something that she has to deal with, and being part Lanthanite for quite some time.
Yeah.
And so even with the resolve at the end, I don't doubt that she'll still be processing these things a little bit further down the road. And so had things not fallen to pieces with Anissa and Mir, Caleb Mir, she may not have grown or even become the leader that she is. And so unfortunately it was at their detriment, with something that devastating happening. But I think it just ultimately made her a better leader.
Okay. So your favorite bad guy, News Braka.
So
Braka claims his father's death and his colony starvation were caused by Federation neglect. Is Braka a true villain, or is he a psychological mirror of what happens when Starfleet fails its core mission of leaving no one behind?
It's definitely a psychopath. But I think it's the latter, though. I think it's the latter because it's like when you take on America, this whole we got this and we can save everybody and we're going to be responsible for this person and that person, and we have our hands in all kind of things all across the galaxy. And meanwhile, somebody's going to lose. You cannot save everyone. And so it just so happens that News Baraka was, and his family or his planet or whatever, they were failed. They didn't get what they need. Now, of course, there was a lot more playing in the background that we uncover later, but
Well,
this is
let's
what.
talk about it.
So they had the, what is it, strontium, or I don't want to say the
Yeah,
wrong.
I can't
Yeah,
pronounce it.
and
Strat, yeah, that. Yeah,
look, I can't exactly remember what was said.
Stradivarium,
And
Stratium,
and
whatever.
so as Ake pointed out, like, hey, if you had that, you had more than some had. And so we have to prioritize this way, but we find out that Noose's father is ultimately the reason why their planet gets blown to smithereens, and not just the Federation, or even down to how things played out with Anissa Mir. You know, you all killed someone and you didn't have to, and more specifically, it was Noose that pulled the trigger, but you didn't have to do that. And so you're kind of dealing with the ramifications of your decisions as well, because you're thinking, okay, I'm doing this out of survival. I'm in survival mode, but you didn't have to take a life in order to do it.
Hmm, hmm.
So
What struck me about that was the fact that he's a kid, right? He's seeing his father, and you assume that your parents are always making the best, the wisest decisions because you're a kid. You believe, you trust in your parents. Now I don't know what his father's motivations were. I really don't. I can only assume that it was an accident. I'm going to assume that it was an accident. It might not have been an accident. Like he probably wanted to stick it to the Federation, right? He probably did, not knowing what the ramifications would be to the ecology of his homeworld, right? And so that happens, and in the mind of a kid, you blame the Federation, and you have gone on this manhunt, this vengeance.
this could have
Um,
just as easily is almost parallel to Caleb, right? You know, just this is on
and
the extreme side of it.
you don't you never once stop to think possibility the possibility that your way of thinking is incorrect. Do you know how often I second guess myself?
That's because you're wise. But I would venture to say that, and I could be 100% wrong, that there are many people who process just like News Baraka, one sided. I'm only looking at it this way. This is my bubble, my way of thinking, and how I process. And I'm not interested in the other side. This is what I know, and that is the reality for me. So there's not room for anything else, which is, not a very wise way of thinking, because you miss a lot of different vantage points.
So true, so true. All right, so in this particular episode, it's revealed that Caleb turned back to save Darum and the others from execution. How do you think the psychological weight of being the one who was saved, I'm talking about Darum, will affect Darum's confidence as a pilot next season? So the fact that Caleb was the one that saved him and he didn't save himself, how will that, do you think, will impact or affect Darum and his character next season?
He's like, I do think they've all progressed, right? And so I've said, we've seen these characters develop from episode to episode. So I want to believe that he will, much like the rest of them, understand that the lone wolf does not exist.
Mm.
So, you need your team, because
Mhm.
there are going to be things that you cannot surmount by yourself. And so I want to believe that he'll take it as a lesson and be an amazing pilot by relying on his team, and not just like, oh God, of course, on some, because they like to have this banter back and forth, like, oh God, it had to be you, that saved me. But ultimately understand that you guys need each other. And
Mhm.
hopefully that will make him a better pilot, a better leader, because I can see Darren, in leadership as well. I mean, and let's just face it, these kids are all just on the
Next
just
level.
well, they are, to say the least. You just basically got the 1 year of college, and
Mm-hmm.
boom, y'all are flying the Athena and, well, the saucer at this point, hiding in
Still Athena.
airlocks
Still
and
Athena.
raising shields and making decisions like for people that have been doing this for eons.
Right, right. Personally, I think what he's gonna do is I think he's gonna double down and really, really, really get good at being a pilot, so that he could be the one to save the team. I think that's within his personality.
I'm here for it. I absolutely love this cast of young people, and I still am just in complete awe and disbelief that this is the actor that plays Caleb Mears' first time like acting, and I mean he is killing it. He's so believable. Again, doesn't hurt that he's easy on the eyes.
Speaking of Caleb, Caleb specifically lists Genesis as one of the people he couldn't leave behind. In a finale defined by political trials and galactic weapons, why is the found family bond of the cadets the only thing that actually successfully motivates Caleb to join the fight?
It wasn't forced on him. It was not forced on him. And so his whole existence has been just serendipitous, happenstances, chaos, drama, hurt, and so all the anger that he's been harboring, he actually had a choice to befriend them. When Nala Ake got him to come to Starfleet as opposed to going to prison, she kind of forced his hand. But once he was there, he could have just doubled down and kept his nose straight until he found his mom and not bond with anyone. And so he didn't do that. Little by little, they started peeling back layers, and he started allowing himself to be loved and to be able to express love, so albeit sometimes in a very dickish way, but he had a choice and he chose them. And so that's paramount.
And so listening to you say that, so here's my question. This just kind of bubbled up as you were talking. Is it more important to have those personal connections than simply having loyalty to the Federation?
I think those, especially in, sorry, bumbling up my words. I think having those personal connections are important because if you have, your person to your left and to your right that you have all of this love for and all of this affection, this is your family. That's going to give you the energy whenever you lack it to keep going. Even, okay, this mission may be stupid, but you don't want to disappoint the person that's different, to put your neck on the line for a complete stranger. But when you have your brother to your left and your sister to your right, that's going to give you what you need to keep going. So I think having those connections is extremely important. Because, I mean, y'all are intergalactic. You got a lot going on. This is it's not Earth. These are all the planets and the galaxies and all the things. So.
Okay. All right. So during the crisis, Cadet Sam is described as becoming ungrounded and needing immediate help. After the ship faked its own destruction using an illusion, is Sam's instability a psychological reaction to the constant deception required for Starfleet's survival?
Whew, okay. First of all, genius move. Didn't see that coming. But her being ungrounded, this is her father. if there's ever a time to be out of sorts, seeing your father glitching, you just came back, you have to be essentially reborn. This kind of Lazarus thing with you personally, and to witness your father going through this, I think this was right on brand for how Sam should respond. So there's that. Yeah, I don't know if I'm answering the question, but
No, like you really did, because what you basically, at least from my ears, what I heard you basically say is this is her dad. Her dad almost died, or her dad was sick, became sick, because he was attempting to save everyone else. So just think about your dad running into a burning house, and he's saving other people. Your mind is and saving people that you know and trust and love, and all of those things, right? And then boom, now it's your dad. Your dad is hurt. How do you deal with it? How do you process? That's a lot going on. That's a
yeah,
lot going on.
Sam is a hologram, but I don't think I've seen her be more human, And so, like I said, she just got out of a situation herself. So I think ungrounded was normal in this case. So I'm fairly certain it's just like, I guess that's part of the mission, Starfleet. These things are never ending. It's different when it's your parent or your family member.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of the parent, the family member, the doctor, he used his own matrix to create the holographic decoy that saved the ship, but it left him unwell and fragmented. Is the doctor's willingness to sacrifice his mental stability for the crew proof that he is more human than the living officers who make hard choices to leave people behind?
Hmm. I'm gonna say with him, I don't know about more human, simply because he experienced his time differently. So yes, we've seen him develop as well, with allowing himself to feel and have the affections and Father Sam and all of that. So that in essence does give him lots of human qualities. But I guess it didn't surprise me that he did it because, again, he experienced his time different. He's been around so long. And so the quality of life for these young cadets, and especially one of them being his daughter, would be more important, than trying to just save himself or whatever. And then you stand to save trillions of lives,
Mm-hmm.
um, at the same time. So I don't know that that makes him more human as opposed to no making him more, of a hologram because hey, I've been around a very, very long time, so I can sacrifice myself in essence is what I'm trying to say.
I think it makes him more human, and this is why. Um, so number one, he's a doctor, and because he's a doctor, to be a doctor, to be in the type of profession where it's your entire job to give of yourself to others, that's part and parcel of what that is. And we've seen him in the past when he was in Voyager. He had done similar things in the past. That was nothing new for him. The fact that he understood what it was that she wanted him to do, and he didn't blink. Well, he waited until News Braka left, but as soon as they left, he went into command mode. This is what we're going to do, and everyone else just followed suit. That's, yeah. To me, giving of himself makes him more human. All
The
right,
good humans, the good humans.
the good human. But is that a hero complex?
I would say so. I would say so because it
Okay.
is heroic. I guess the way I'm just processing this, like, okay, you've been alive 50,000 years, so you'll be okay if you don't make it.
All right. During the gravitational eddy, Tarima's inhibitor becomes a serious medical problem for her. Psychologically, how does a character like Tarima handle the loss of control over her own body while trying to maintain her station, or I should say her ship, while during a suicide run?
So I was not annoyed by her in this episode. I'm gonna say, as opposed to what we've seen happen with her in the past, I think she handled it quite well. And so, again, it's one of those situations to where, like, literally each part was equally important to the mission because she was able to use what frightens her or what other people are frightened of about her to ultimately add value to the team and help everyone come out on the other side of this alive. And so I think she handled it well as opposed to freaking out because let's be honest, she hasn't even been back that long, you know, before the like, I mean, after mind melding the people and then ultimately getting stuck in a different college than the one she was in before. And so I think she actually did a great job with managing the many things that were going on at the time. Like, okay, I'm trying to connect to Anissa. Um, you know, like you say, manning her station. Then there's the love thing going on between her and Caleb. So there are so many things like I don't want anybody to die, but I'm ultimately on the ship with the man that I'm in love with as well. So there's a myriad of things happening with Sarima, but I think she handled it quite well.
I think it made her, and it's so important, instructive. Like these past couple of episodes, she has not like pissed us off, and for me, it might have been because she was a bit more relatable. What she did was basically she took a negative and she made it a positive. So she was struggling with like a physical limitation, her abilities, a physical limitation of hers, and she put her trust in Caleb. And Caleb was able to say, I trust you. And because I trust you, I know you're going to do what's good for everybody in this particular situation. And she performed. She performed admirably. I can't say that word right. Admirably. Um, and that and that yielded positive results for the team. And as a result, I wasn't. Her character did good this particular.
Yeah, she didn't. I was not annoyed by her at all this episode.
Okay, so we've been talking about other characters. We want to talk about your favorite, well, of the main cast, Jaden. Jaden is tasked with keeping the frequency hack running while the trial and the fate of 160 billion lives hangs in the balance. Does Jaden's focus on technical solutions serve as a coping mechanism to avoid the overwhelming terror of the threat?
I think it does. Simply because we've seen him deal with like the stage fright and all of those things. And first and foremost, I'm glad for him even getting on the ship and hiding in the first place, because in more than his fear, his love prevailed for his friends who are his chosen family, right? And so I'm glad that they did give him something technical to focus on. I do think that was extremely helpful for him. Not only that, the other piece of him being Reno put him over medical, and so ultimately that is something that he's interested in, something that is near and dear to his heart. So I'm glad that again, shout out to Reno for her leadership style. She's playing to everybody's strengths, and I mean, literally all hell is breaking loose at the same time. So anyway, I do think ultimately his ability to just have something technical to focus on in the moment and that medical assignment was helpful so he wouldn't freak out. So
It was the last thing that you said. That's what I was thinking like the entire time. It was like the ability to compartmentalize. So he's trying to be a doctor, right? He's not in his mind, he's not thinking about being in these battles. He's thinking about saving lives. But he's being put in this particular position. And so, dang, if I can just take myself out of this situation that's going on over here, I'm simply going to focus on the task in hand, and I'm going to focus on the math. I want to get this right because I want to be part of this team. I'm going to get it right. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just.
And what was it he said to Caleb? It was a quote, and he says it in Klingon. A friend never lets a friend go into battle alone, or something like that. I was like, oh, look at my little Klingon. Getting his Klingon. Love it.
All right, so let's talk about the season as a whole. What are your thoughts about this season? Season 1.
Um, um, I was a little concerned. I was a little concerned. I was a little concerned. Overall, I think this was a really, really good season. Um, Borderline great, and I say borderline because it's, it's the first one. We're getting to see these young people, and the science was there. um Not initially, not as many threats. Some of it kind of started off a little silly initially, but then when we got into some of these later episodes, it was like, okay, all right, this is Star Trek. Here we are, at least in my neophyte mind. um so I think this was a really good season. Like I said, the latter episodes, and I would venture to say the past three, for sure, carried a lot of this season.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. There was a point where I was just like, oh my god, what are they doing with this show? Like, why are they making the choices that they're making? It connected by the end, but we had to get to the end in order to understand that. And that was difficult to be a part of. I did like the episode, the Ocean's 11 episode with with the plant. Do you remember
Yes, the was it Boxer next to? No, no, no.
V- Venus reflux?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. And there were obviously there were a couple other ones. The one with Sam, series acclamation mill. Um, that one was okay. Um, there were a number of episodes that I really enjoyed, and then there were episodes where at the time when I was watching it, I was just like, "What is going on?" I think overall for me, if I had to rate the season, I would have given the season like an 8.5.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm right around 8.5 to 9 range because I mean, like I said, these the last few episodes really carried it, and I was concerned simply because it's like, okay, when are we gonna see Caleb's mom? I know it's coming. Like, how are they gonna weave all of this in? What's that gonna look like? Are we gonna have the silliness going on? Is there gonna be a huge threat? Like, is it gonna be action? Is it gonna be lackluster? Like, how are they gonna tie these pieces together? What, who are we gonna see in some of the final episodes? And so I was concerned, but I feel like you said, they tied it all together really well. And I feel like if I go back to the beginning and watch it all over again, I would still probably land at about an 8.5 or 9 for the season.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, all right, all right.
No
I think
Mayfair
something
rating
else.
here.
Huh?
No Mayfair rating here.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I do want to talk about. We generally talk about uh not 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 well, I'm on uniforms, costumes. We generally talk about costumes on other shows. We don't really talk about it in Star Trek because it's pretty much the same thing all the time, all the time, all the time. But I think they made some wise choices. For instance, most of the time we see Caleb in in these little, what you call these little, it's what's the material called? It's form fitted. It's very form fitted.
Spandex.
Whatever you call it. So we see, and it's all filled out, and you can see everything, and I'm just
We
like,
see
yes.
Caleb.
You see, yes. And then the gray sweatpants.
I know he got to be blushing when they go back to to look at these. My goodness.
Not just him, not just him, Darren too.
Yeah, Dip. I'm looking at Durham. Yes. And we don't know because they with my boy JD, because they keep putting him in a skirt at random.
Do you know a lot of people online have been talking about him wearing the skirt?
See, you remember I told you I just needed to understand. That's all. And so I was like, okay, whatever. It was just they slid that in there. That was not happening in the beginning. And I told you this before. I said I went back just to make sure I wasn't tripping. I'm like, and then you got that text from him, and I'm like, hey, when did they start putting him in a skirt? Like, what's the rationale behind it? Like, okay, cool. You know, I don't have a problem with it if it makes sense, but I just wanted to understand, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Is this just us exploring? Because not all homosexual men want to wear a skirt. So what are we doing here? Like, I'm getting offended from people. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, so y'all, are we trying to make it more palatable for some other viewers, or
But
we just?
by the way, there have been other openly gay characters in Star Trek, and they did not wear skirts.
It's just like, and I'm fine either way. Like,
But
it's
there's
just,
got to be a first, right? There's got to be a first.
it's just,
And
I just,
generally, that's the reaction the first time that you see something.
I just needed an explanation as a neophyte but loyal Trekkie.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to understand it. Like, why did we go direction? Cool. I mean, he's gonna look great in anything. I love Jaden. I think he's very attractive, and I love watching his character. But I don't care one way or the other if he has a skirt on for the next 2 or 3 seasons if it goes that long. But I just wanted to understand.
Okay. This episode, how would you, it's Mayfair to 10? How would you rate this particular episode?
This episode was a 9 for me. This episode was a 9 for me. They tied everything up really nice and neat. This is gonna sound really, really bad.
Okay.
And I really hope I don't regret this. But part of the reason why not a complete 10 for me, there
I
were
hope
no
you don't say what I'm
casualties.
about to say. I
There,
hope you don't say what I'm about to say.
there were no casualties.
Oh.
With everything that happened, um, yeah, there were no casualties in this episode. So, like, nothing. Like, I know it sounds really, really bad. There's a really, really weak reason to not give a 10. But with everything that was happening, it kind of was too perfect, I guess, in a way for how they closed it out,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have loved, and this is about to sound really, really, really wrong. And I'm going to say it anyway. The fact that Anissa didn't at least get to slap the shit out of Ake or punch her or assault her in some kind of way and get that out of her system. A little disappointed that I didn't see a little bit of a cat fight. I know that's the raunchy and what do you call it? Reality TV-ish. I know, but I would have liked to kind of see that. I'm glad that the resolve did happen. Again, great episode, strong 9 for me. But some of those little petty things that I would have liked.
So I would have given it a 9 as well for different reasons. What I did not like was the end of the episode. I don't know. It was not satisfying the way in which Caleb's mother left. It wasn't satisfying for me. It was kind of like, okay, I met you, son. Now I'm leaving, and you're gonna continue to do what you want to do, and we're not gonna form a relationship. I'm gonna go out into this great big galaxy, specifically Earth, and I'm gonna leave you alone. And no,
It was
you have been
lackluster.
my son, and I have not seen you in 20 years, pretty much, and we're not going to form an adult relationship. Nothing. We're not going to make up for all of this lost time. Caleb is just going to continue to do Starfleet. No, that makes no sense to me. That makes no sense to me at all.
It was, I would agree, completely lackluster with the buildup that we were doing to have the resolution in that way. I agree with you completely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Is there anything else that we have not covered that you want to talk about?
I think we pretty much covered it all. I'm interested to see how things are going to play out for season 2 and what direction they're going to go in. I'm really hoping, because we got 3 seasons out of Strange New Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hoping that they continue to make it better and not flatline. like they did with Strange New Worlds, with some of those episodes. So I'm just excited for the next season.
Who do you want to see more from?
From Starfleet Academy. I want to see more Laura. I want to see more Laura. I want to see more Laura. Definitely got to see more Laura. Love me some Laura. And I love the fact that her and Reno were holding hands like low key and walking. And I'm like, y'all the two hardest people walking and y'all holding hands. And Laura still kind of got this military stance and she holding her hand. So yes, more Laura. Definitely more Caleb and more Caleb. Love to see more of that. And of course, my Jaden. I love my Jaden. I don't know. It's just I genuinely like this cast. You know, like I said, Tarima didn't get on my nerves as much. If they write her out, then I wouldn't be upset. Interested to see where they're gonna take Genesis. Of course, love Sam. I'm interested to see how full circle things are going to come with her new programming and everything, like how that's going to play out, because she's already been very different. So I'm really interested. I know I couldn't just pick one person. I'm sorry. It's just, yeah. I love this cast. I love this cast. And I wonder if they're going to get Kelrick back from the War College. Kelrick from the War College.
Oh, I'm certain he's going to be back. Who I want to see more of or from. So I want to see more Tignataro. God dog it. What is her name? Commander.
Oh,
Reno. Yeah. I want to see more of her. I want to see more Laura. Right. Those two, they make me laugh. I love to laugh. Make me laugh. Okay. Make me laugh.
It's the dry humor. I love the dry humor. It works.
I want to see more Darren. I think that there is a story to tell from him that we're not yet getting on a lot of different levels, right? And I want to be able to see that. Plus, he's good eye candy. Come on, give it to me.
He's very attractive. Very attractive.
Now, this is like a difficult thing for me to say. I want to see more Chancellor Ake. And what I mean by that is not her just giving lines, but I want to know more about her character. She's lived hundreds of years. Give us some of that. Right? Why can't we see some of that? Right? I would love to see some of that like play itself out. Her, having to leave for a minute and going, I don't know, to some planet where she did something like some operation that she was part of, and she's got to go, and she decides that she wants to take one or two of the cadets with her because they're really good at doing X. And so we see that, and like I would love to see that kind of stuff, play itself out.
And they didn't actually show what happened to her son, so that's a great point if they kind of tell some of her backstory or follow her along. And what I didn't mention was I do like how when the credits rolled, they kind of showed like everybody's little picture in class of whatever. I thought that was really cute for it being the Starfleet Academy and yada yada. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I thought that was nice as well. I think that I would like to see characters from Discovery. It's a show that you haven't watched, I don't think, right? You haven't watched Discovery. I would like to see some characters from Discovery, because I just want to I want to know what they're doing. I want to understand what has changed, because not all characters are gonna stay part of that one ship. They're gonna go off and they're gonna do other things. And I want to keep that tie-in with the franchise. You know what I'm saying? I think there are a lot of different things that I would like to see in season 2. Yeah. All right.
I enjoyed this thoroughly. Like I said, I'm excited. The next season, and so hopefully they'll bring back all of these characters that we've fallen in love with. And so,
yeah. All right. Well, thank you all so very much for watching us. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share on all your social media. Until next time, live long and prosper, my loves.